Welcome to Mundo Throwback Thursday. It is a new day. How you doing, my friend? Four's in the house.
What's good, man?
It's all good. It's been a good Thursday, brother. How about you?
Just let me know if I'm coming in crispy.
Oh, you are crispy, dude. You are crispy. Cincy, BK, what up? Yep. Titan, what up? What up, my friends? Yes, today we are going to do some sound fonts on the fly, man. I wanted to mention some stuff, and actually, I just got some of Force's Saber fonts, man, and I wanted to showcase one of them tonight, which is over my helmet. God, I love that. I love that font, man. Love it. And so I actually put it on today, and yeah. Hold on, guys. Just put it on 400, babe. Yeah, my daughter's trying to make some chicken nuggets here, so sorry about that. Yeah, 400 air fry, babe. And anyway, so going in and last night I was putting on the sound font on the Golden Harvest board, and and my dumbass put only half of it on, and so I got the blade, but I wasn't getting any sound. I was thinking to myself, what am I doing wrong, right? And it got to be about midnight or so, about 12:30. I'm all like, okay, I'm gonna get some rest, and I'll figure the rest out today. And so I actually got out of work late, um, because we had an emergency, and I would have been home at 4:30. Well, I got home at 6:30 and I said, "Okay, let me see, what did I do wrong?" And lo and behold, lo and behold, I was screwed up because I was only putting half the folders into the sound font bank, right? When I was loading it. So I would load the sound font, but I wouldn't load the extra folder that came with it in the Golden Harvest part. And I was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe it was so simple that I was screwing up like that." And I was just like, dude, Mundo, where is your damn head, dude? Where is your damn head? And to go back, Aaron, Aaron, I was like, because I watched your video on over my helmet, and it was like, dude, that was so hilarious. I knew I had to get it because Spaceballs is one of my favorite movies, man. Just a classic comedy. How about you?
Truthfully, it's one of my favorite movies. From like when I was very young. Not to age myself here, but yeah, it was,
Right?
bro. Yeah, it was funny then. It's funny now.
And I don't know if you're like me, but my fondest memory of watching it, man, and I got like pretty toasty one night, and I played that scene over and over where Rick Moranis, when they're going into ludicrous speed, right? And they hit the brakes, and you see Rick Moranis flying right across the room, and and he's all like, ah. I had to rewind that thing like probably 20 million times, and every time I did it, I just kept busting up laughing so hard. And then he gets up, and then they ask him if he's all right. He says, "We stopped? Yeah, we stopped. Great. Smoke if you got him." Oh man. Oh, loving it. And I haven't really played around with the whole font, like I said, because I just put it on the Saber probably about maybe 45 minutes ago, and I got about 80% of battery left, and I was gonna like wait till the almost the end of the show and just kind of showcase a little bit of it, right? Now you got all the features. Did When you use the font, did you have to go back and add some things in the general dot text to get a lot of the features that you were showcasing on the font?
Uh, Give me an example. To like
Okay.
what part are you mentioning?
Well, like when you were doing a lot of the quotes from the movie, right?
Mhm.
Or were they just or they were the prions and so forth for like keep shooting asshole. How many assholes we got on this ship? You know? All the great fonts that you were showcasing on there. And I love the boot, man. Lone Star. That's a great boot, man.
So,
And
I mean, it was literally just as simple as isolating the line, making sure it was clean, there was nothing behind it. There was kind of noise gate it and just name it appropriately. Just making sure it was an MP3
mm-hmm.
or not MP4, MP3. That's
Oh, MP4.
voice acting is MP3. MP4 is man, been away from this world too long.
Hey, that's all right, man. No worries. It's all good, dude. It's all good. We're all here listening and having fun. That's the whole thing. And that's the reason why I wanted to showcase this font a lot because it's so hilarious. Um and one of the things I found kind of yeah, I mean it's not a funny font, but at the same time, your daddy issues font is like really I love the title of it though. It's funny. The title. Were you not meaning it to be funny, or was it just?
Oh no, it was named out of sarcasm. Absolutely.
Okay, and that's what I thought, man. That's what I thought. BK's all like, yeah. Everybody's all, yeah.
Hey, check the private chat real quick.
Mm, let me see if I can. I'm not used to doing private chats on here. Let me see. Let me see. Oh, you know what, dude? I haven't even done that before, and I do this on my phone. So,
Oh, okay.
um, yeah, like I said, Space usually has all the control, most of the controls and stuff. So, um, if he shows up, maybe we can get him to do that. You know?
That's fine. I can just respond to the comments if someone says something.
Yeah. Think I can like, I can do that right here. And any comments, I usually read the comments anyway, man. So it'll be all good. Um,
So you got any questions for me?
oh yeah. When you were working on a lot of your fonts, man, Charlie, welcome, dude. When you're working on a lot of your fonts, and you decided to go like the Kenobi, the negotiator.
Mm.
At that point, when you were really into it and doing your fonts, what actually got you into doing the fonts? Was it just basically for yourself? Was it basically for to put them on your own stuff, or did you think like maybe what, I can get a couple of bucks out of this, or what was your thought processes in doing this?
That's the origin story. Let me take you back to 2014. Um,
Great.
so my buddy Matt and I were like really heavy in the game. Like we were everything Star Wars, we were everything lightsabers, and we Google searched um prop lightsabers because at the time where we are, the only thing you could get were like the Hasbro and Force FX sabers like out of Walden books for $109, and all they had then was that really poor Return of the Jedi hilt, and they had the Maul, and they had the Kenobi with the really fat neck.
Mm.
And you had that string blade that was a part of it that you just could not duel with. So those things just kept either shattering or the LEDs inside went out. And They were awful. They were just plain awful. So
Mhm.
we were Google searching, and sure enough, right there in 2014, what were the first two things you find in 2014? Well, sure enough, Ultra Sabers and Saberforge. That's what you found.
Right.
So we looked into them both, and we had saved up some money from our jobs because he was working at Disney at the time, and that was back when they were paying double overtime. So he had put some money away, and I was just coming out of one of my careers at the time, so we had a little bit of green, and I bought a Ultra Saber and I bought a Saber Forge Saber. Well, got the Saber Forge and you couldn't change the sound. Got the Ultra
Mm.
Saber and you could. So it was so incredibly limited at the time too, because both of them only contained three swings, three clashes, a power on, a power off, and that was pretty much it. Well, I hated it. I hated
Mhm.
it. I knew I could do better. So I went on the Ultra Sabers forums at the time and got, pretty much figured out what you needed to download, which was Audacity.
Mhm.
And I recall wanting sounds from an Obi and sounds from an Anakin, and I found them and I
Mhm.
cleaned them up as best I could at that point in time using Audacity, which I don't even remember how I did it. And I threw those three sounds on there, and I was happy. I was happy with it. Um, you know,
Mhm.
we we rolled with those cats for about a year, and that's when I found the community
Mhm.
and, history from there. But
Right.
I got into it because I just wasn't pleased with the product in the beginning. I just it didn't sound the way I wanted it to sound. And I knew that if I had access to get into that thing and change it myself, I could do it better. And I did. And I was
Mhm.
pleased. You know, I did it for me and I did it for Matt because he wanted something that sounded better too. It kind
Mhm.
of upset him that he had Vader sounds coming out of a mall. And I'm like, yeah, we're not going to do this. So I got him what he wanted and he was happy, you know? Way back
It
then, I didn't
seems
even know there was a community. I didn't know people were selling. I didn't know there was a Nova Star, you know what I mean? Like, there was
I had no idea either.
totally
I had
non-existent to
no
me.
idea.
Bro, in 2014, you had them and you had, Hampton's handcrafted sabers, if I can take you back.
Wow. I
So
heard of that. I heard of that. I mean,
Ken Hampton.
because that's crazy because I didn't even see, I didn't get into any of this until 2017 when my best friend passed away,
Mm,
after he passed away. So, and it was like, I had no idea. And the first thing that I came across was Space Window's Gray Jedi build.
mhm.
And that's what really bit me in the ass. And that's when I decided, okay, I'm going to go ahead and honor my best friend in that respect. Um, because his 6-year anniversary actually was yesterday. And I was like, wow. And here I am, and I'm thinking to myself, like, when and I started thinking to myself, how do I do this? How do I go about doing this? And I did. I end up buying a my first saber, which was from Ultra Sabers. And at that time, that when I bought it, I had no clue what that company was actually about. Like,
Mhm.
like now, I mean, it's frowned upon, and for a good reason, you know.
Mm,
And and so when I bought the Ultra Sabers, I had no um I had no problems with it because I bought it and it came within days of me ordering it. And I was like, wow. And that was the first build that I actually ever did myself. And I actually built it and I gave it to one of my cousins. And from that point on, I started doing, my second build, and which was my friend's memory hilt, which was the Roy Boy. And I did that with the 26650 battery, the CFX board. which I end up frying because I ended up having one of the little wires come out of the thing and touching the body. So it's like, oh no. So that's why now I got a new chassis system from you know for it, and I tell you, because Rich Sangello uh, printed me the new chassis system for it, so I'm working on it now, and I want to get that completed. Luckily, I was before I fried my board, I was able to show my best friend's parents on what I accomplished with his voice on it, and but going back to the other fonts as well, um, which font was your very first font? Was it Daddy Issues or was it the Negotiator? Which was your very first font?
It was my Vengeance Starkiller font.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I saw that one earlier, and I didn't. I listened to it very briefly because when, like I said, when I was listening to it, I was like, "Oh man, I had to do something else for work," and I was like, "No!" I was like, "Kenobi!"
Kenobi! It's a beautiful thing about what I do now. I can be in here and just go cut completely loose, and it's awesome.
And that's the whole point of this show, man, is just to cut loose and have fun, dude. And you can ask these guys right now. I mean, I got my drink in my hand. I'm ready to cut loose and have some fun with it too. And I was going through like I had mentioned before previously, and the one of the other ones, the seismic charge from Dindo Moonforge, man. Have
Mhm.
you heard that one?
Mm-mm. Well, no. Yeah, I did when it premiered. I did hear it.
Hmm.
Um, and it was exactly as I expected it to be. Seismic
Yeah.
charge.
Yeah, it came out pretty good, and the reverb on it and everything about it sounds pretty good, man. It's great, really good. And I was also looking at Lord Blocko's fonts, and Perseverance seems to be a pretty good one.
Man, you want to talk about a legend in this community. Blanco is he's the man. He's one that absolutely deserves an absolute ton of respect because he's a veteran. He's like a veteran. And
Hmm.
he was dropping prize winners back when he was prime, dude. It was I miss him and his work in the
Hmm.
community. It's crazy. Um,
Now,
but he had some serious bangers, and that was
yeah.
before Smooth Swing. Like he was just dominating, and I was wow, yeah.
That's what I was saying, because and I noticed that a lot of his fonts have actually gone on to um whose website? Let me see. And I should have wrote it down and I didn't. But man, I tell you, the soundfonts.com is such a great place to find all the fonts.
So Saberfont,
And yeah, saberfont.com. Man, and I'm surprised how many font makers are on there. I mean, it's just like an overwhelming amount. Um,
Saberfont is over 12 years old at this point.
wow, that old already, huh?
Mhm.
Wow. Who'd have thought that it'd be that old by now? I mean,
I
but
know.
at the same time, you know, um, and even like Rob's fonts are still on there. I mean, there's so many great fonts on there, and then I love the fact that you can do it by artist, you can do it by Smooth Swing, you can do it by you have all these different choices of fonts,
Mhm.
right? And I love the fact that you get the choice to listen to it. But man, I tell you, it would take some time just to listen to them, every single one of them. Like, oh my God, you can spend hours listening to each one of these things. Man,
And yet it still has its faithful customers.
yeah. Now there's been some font makers that have kind of shied away from it a little bit. I guess they leave some there and then they take the rest with them. And is it kind of like almost well, the analogy I guess would be like you're in a property and you're renting the property and you decide, well, I'm paying for this thing, but it's not doing me any good, so why not bring my stuff with me and I can get paid for my stuff without having to go through the middleman, so to speak,
Hmm.
right? Is that a pretty much correct assumption of things?
It doesn't even require that much thought, to be honest. No, I can. One of the beautiful things about being out of the game now is I can be brutally honest about a lot of these things. Oh, by the
Hmm.
way, um, because I never really did make a formal announcement, and I don't even know how many viewers we have watching right now. The stream here doesn't tell me, but um, yeah, I didn't do what Repulse did. I didn't put out a PSA. I didn't kind of, give anybody a heartfelt goodbye. I kinda just tipped my hat and, snuck out the back
Hmm.
door and was done. I mean, if anybody wants a formal announcement, then this is it. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
done. I
I
had
mean,
Fours has
sometimes you got to
officially
do what you got to do.
Fours
Sometimes
has
you got to do what you got to
retired
do.
from the community, font making. I'm out. Peace. So, I mean, I'm not afraid to say how it is. Essentially, in my experience and in the conversations that I've had over the years, you have some individuals who will they'll make an account on Saberfont, and that's where they're going to go, and they're going to buy their fonts from Saberfont, and that's the end of
Hmm.
the story. There are other folks in the community who share the belief that 100% of the profits from a font should go directly to the font maker. So
Hmm.
these individuals will choose to message the font maker and say, I would like to pay you via PayPal or whatever if you could just email me the font. And for
Hmm.
many, many people, for many, many years, that's been a thing. And there have been a select number of individuals, myself included at one given point in time, who we branched off of Saberfont and we built a website, and people were able to come to our websites and purchase the fonts. Um,
Hmm.
Over time, I didn't want to do it anymore. Um, I liked having the management, and the whole PayPal thing was easier that way. So I went back to Saberfont, and nobody batted an eye, and it was easy. And you know something? Um, Saberfont's cut is not terrible, you know?
Hmm.
You charge $10 for a font, they're gonna take a buck. Big friggin' deal. A buck.
Hmm.
If you're doing well with a font and you sell 10 fonts, 20 fonts, 30 fonts, 30 of one font in a
Hmm.
month times 10, you lose a buck per. Big freaking whoop, dude. You've got some nice spending money at the end of the month. You're either
Hmm.
going to do that, or you can pay taxes on it at the end of the year because you have to claim that you are receiving income for having your own website.
Hmm.
Pick your poison. You're not going to get 100% of those profits, period, point blank.
Hmm. Wow. See, and I didn't know the whole I guess the game behind this the font making, and what it all entails in terms business wise, and what the font makers have to go through in order to, make their money. And it, roughly a font could take anywhere from what, maybe couple of weeks to a month, depending on how much you work on it. Maybe even 3 months, right? Depending on how good you want that font to be. And the what was a normal font making time period? Like how long?
God's honest truth.
Mm-hmm.
16 working hours.
16 hours.
16 working hours. Yes. 16 working hours back when I was doing it and
Mm-hmm.
I had a pace going. 16 working hours. That means that's sitting down from the first time, all the research, all the collecting, all the editing, all the everything. 16 working hours. It does not take long.
Wow.
It doesn't take long. There have been people who've made claims that, oh, it takes me months or it takes me this long, or and maybe it does.
Mm-hmm.
But if you calculate the number of hours and an actual working font, depending upon your work ethic and how you want to
Mm-hmm.
approach it and what character you're making the font after, it's going to be anywhere between 3 and 20 hours,
Mm-hmm.
all things considered. That's everything.
And especially if you've come like into a bump in the road and you got to like recut it and re-clean it up and everything else, huh?
Mhm. Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty interesting, man. Just to hear that. Just to hear the process of what font makers go through. And you have to appreciate. Hi, baby. Daughters just came in from out of town. So uh yeah, she went to a school function and just got into town. So super proud daddy though. Yeah.
Nice.
And but and it makes me appreciate the fonts even that much more, even though, like you said, 16 working hours, still, I mean, 2 or 3 days, and that's 2 or 3 days of doing, taking time out of your regular work schedule, right? Unless you do this 24/7. But if you have an outside, a regular day job, and then you come home and then you start working on this, and you do your research, and then the next day you come home after work and you do a little bit more here and a little bit more there, and yeah, I mean, you're having to take time out of your normal daily life to put work in, more work on top of what you've already gone through for the day, and to make people, get the entertainment for, the sabers and the saber community and so forth.
Mhm.
So I mean, that with the newbies coming in and others as well, I mean, you should be appreciative to what entails these font makers to go through to bring you that much entertainment and that much more fun in the um for the Sabres, and especially like BK, you know he's got some great fonts out too, and I love it. As a matter of fact, I'm probably going to get a couple more of his fonts here pretty soon. um and I tell you that especially like the Night Hunter. Oh, Night Hunter's great, man. And but and there's such a plethora of great fonts. Some were out of this world, man. And I think I don't remember which one I was watching, but and which font maker it was, but they were doing I think the Austin Powers, man, which was the fart one or something like that. Oh my God. That one was like crazy.
I remember falling out of my desk chair laughing when that was debuted. I was, oh man, that was really
Uh,
funny.
yeah, Mike Myers, man, the one that played that big cat, dude. And I'm like, oh my god, they got him with the Irish accent. And you're swinging that saber, and then you're hearing all these fart noises. Like, oh my god, can you imagine being high and listening to that? Chet, what up, my friend? Chet's on. No, man, we're talking about fonts tonight, man. Chet, and I'm just letting everybody know because the reason why I'm doing tonight's show is Monday. My daughter has a kickball game, so Monday I'm not gonna do Mundo Monday, right? Rich, man, the man of the hour right here. Rich is the one that did, it's got me the chassis, man, for my memory hilt. So
Bro, that's
working on it.
nice.
Yeah, I actually colored it, I painted it and stuff, so not too bad, not too bad. Now I'm in the wiring stages of it right now, so it'll be sick. And it's a golden harvest to build, so I'm gonna have to figure out how to in incorporate my friend's voice into it on the golden harvest. I did it for the CFX, and now I think I just have to put it as boot one or something like that on there. Um, and mainly because when my friend would call me or I would call my friend, he would answer me. He would go, "Que pasa, mama?" And so so that's why I wanted to have my friend's voice with the boot. So TK, what up, buddy? Here you go, TK. So I wanted my friend's voice to have the boot. So when I turn on the saber and you hear that "Que pasa, mama?" I mean, my friend is just alive, you know? He's gonna be alive forever, and he will be in my heart and his kids' heart and his family's heart forever with the sound font. So
I have a friend who kind of did the same thing for his son when he passed, and it was one of those. It was just a really nice memorial, and
mhm.
I admire when people are pay respect doing that.
Yeah, I mean, my friend was so colorful, man. I mean, he was into everything and did everything, and I mean, when he came around, you couldn't stay mad with anything in the world, dude, because you'd have a good time every time he'd come around. Even if he was pissed off, he was making jokes, and you just couldn't help but laugh and everything like that. So, oh, we almost got up to 8 people right now. So we're getting there. We're getting there, man.
I see a few of my loyals here. They've seen these cats on a good minute.
Yeah, I've got some pretty good loyals here myself, man. I'm like, we got Chet Osborne and Rich and Jello, man. Uh, BK, Charlie, and Cinzy. Yeah, man. All these guys, man. Great, great, great people. Great people on here, man. And TK's been with me and Space, from the beginning of when Space and I were on together and stuff like that. So all these guys are all great, man. Much appreciated. So much. And so let's go back to the Negotiator, which is the Kenobi font, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you were doing the Kenobi font, oh, you got some really good quotes in there, dude. I was like swinging that thing around, and I was when he goes, "Hello, that," and then and then some of the other great quotes that you have in there. How did you go and you pick out these different quotes? Did it take you a while to say, "Okay, that's the one I want on here," or did it just like it was like instantaneously the minute you hear it, you're like, "Okay, that's going on there now."
At the time of Negotiator, and I specifically remember this, I was looking for my fonts to be more interactive
Hmm.
because everything that was getting pumped out, myself included, I'm not innocent in this. Everything that was getting pumped out was the same. You had
Hmm.
your boots, we would basically fill out the files and the file options, and that's what they were. Um, I wanted something a little more fun for the user, and I
Hmm.
remember being scared to think outside the box at the time, and that's when I was making the blaster sounds a half blast deflection. Um, because in my mind, that's what a deflector blast should be. You're moving your saber around like you're deflecting blast, then it should be a deflection sound, not firing a blaster. That never
Hmm.
made s that n and interactively, that never made sense to me, so I didn't do it. Um,
Hmm.
as oh, golly, when, Negotiator was when I wanted something what's the word I'm looking for? I wanted something engaging, which is why I created the optional stuff
Hmm.
with the droids reacting to, either being attacked or attacking you. Like, you could make a game out of it, except you don't have visuals, so you had to
Hmm.
do it audibly. So and I wanted to make that something optional for people because, again, you had a lot of purists who wanted their font just plain Jane ordinary. Others wanted the quotes. And then some people really like the interactivity of being like of pretending to be Kenobi fighting those goofy flipping droids. So and you know something? I think it was warmly embraced. I think people enjoyed it. And if they didn't enjoy it, they had the option to just not use it. But I made it part of the package deal. And
Hmm.
yeah, and I'm glad I did, you know? I didn't want that to be stale because I really, really like Kenobi a lot, and
Hmm.
I wanted that one to be just top notch for everybody, to
Hmm.
just, kind of embrace it.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the Kenobi one. It's one that I'm going to keep on the saber, almost every single saber um that I make. And because of the, like you said, the interactivity with it, I think that's what really helped me put um you know have it in my top tier of fonts for right now. And even though I've got a limited amount of fonts right now, later on, I want to basically get um like one of the sabers that I want to do eventually will be like an 80s saber where I'll have like 80s cartoons type, you know, fonts and or 80s movies or whatever comes out like that, right? And then you basically theme sabers, so to speak. And also, let's say um maybe you of course like with the Vader fonts, I'll probably put like maybe 5 or 6 different Vader fonts on the Vader hilt itself, you know, just to keep it pure Vader. And I mean, I could put other fonts on there, especially like maybe Anakin's font here and there just to kind of show the transition of, you know, when he was a Jedi to becoming the Sith, so to speak, right? So I'll have the beginning parts of Anakin all the way to when he becomes Vader in transition. So later on, I'm hoping I can find an Annie saber, and we'll have like both sabers together and have so many fonts onto one saber and so many fonts on the Vader saber so that in using the combination of both of them, you see that little bit of transition from Anakin to Vader, right? I think that would be kind of like a beautiful thing to see the transition from the Jedi to the Sith, so to speak, in terms of where the fonts will kind of interact and become from, like I said, it'll kind of transition from Anakin to Vader. And so the two sabers and a certain amount of fonts will kind of showcase that that picture, that mentality, that drawing of the change. I don't know how quite to explain it. I hope that explains it, so to speak. So yeah,
No, it's an evolutionary process.
there you go. Evolutionary process. Took the words right out of my mouth. Now, which fonts have you actually found that more hilarious besides that farting one? But and over my helmet, what other fonts have you listened to or have that really just tickled your funny bone?
Um, so I always tend to kind of just stick to my own stuff unless somebody hits me up and was like, "Have you checked this out?" And I typically say no.
Mhm.
Um, because, just kind of let people do what they need to do. Um, not a lot of not a lot of hilarity, not a lot of like funny out there. A lot of people just want some badassery, you know,
I
or
I
something
I get
closely
that.
character related, or you know,
Hmm.
oh god, dark. It's always got to be dark, and it's always got to be edgy. It's like there don't be so many dark and edgy fonts, guys.
Yeah, I kind of get that. I was like, okay, like, and there's so many dark as opposed to light stuff. I mean, you know, everybody's like dark helmet.
Like
Like, come on.
everybody wants to be a Sith, you know.
I wanted to see. It was like how somebody. I know that somebody can come up with some more hilarious stuff, man. And like, what? I don't think anybody's come up with a Battlestar Galactica font, right?
Not
Um,
that I can recall.
I know that there's. I mean, I even downloaded some Battlestar Galactica fonts, like sounds, quotes, right? And I was thinking to myself, well, that wouldn't be too bad to make a Battlestar Galactica font. Because I mean the universe is so big. How do you not know? I mean, nobody in Star Wars could ever come across Star Trek. Nobody could ever come across, you know, um, even Battlestar Galactica, right? And all these 80s shows and all of these stuff, and everybody is in spaceships and all this, and never run across anybody, right? I was like, attacking Obi-Wan, TK says, yeah. So it's like, man, like how? I mean, wasn't Link doing some other kind of uh from repost, right? Link was doing some out of the like out of universe fonts.
Yeah, once there was freaking Link, man. Brandon, another absolute legend. Um this dude, he gave it all, and he had some seriously good stuff. He did a Stranger Things font that was spot on, and it was really good. He did like a Song of Storms from Zelda, which
Oh,
was
okay,
which was
Zelda.
pretty sick. Yeah, he came up with a lot of great stuff. Like a
I
lot of
think
good
I
stuff.
saw. I think I did see a Zelda. I think I did on saberfonts.com. I think I did see a Zelda font on there.
That was probably Wansith. I know Wansith has done a couple.
Oh, has he? Oh,
Hmm.
okay. Yeah, maybe it was one Sith.
Hmm.
Oh, and speaking of one Sith, oh my God, he's got some great stuff too. Jesus.
Is another veteran. I love Juan. He's such a nice guy, and he keeps to himself. And man, to me, Juan's the king. He's put the time in. He's got the fonts behind him. His talent is so through the roof. And um, you know, I am of the opinion there's nobody better. Juan's the best. Juan's the king, and his fonts are his fonts just rock. He puts so much love and time and effort into them, and and the best part about Juan is that he's not lather, rinse, repeat. He may bring out fonts that come from characters who share, a lot of that Star Wars archive sound, but
Hmm.
he knows how to keep it fresh. And
Hmm.
that's what you got to admire about him. And he's freaking God bless Juan, man. I'll tell you what, and I'm proud of him. I'm happy for him, and I'm still sub to him, and he just keeps putting banger after banger out every freaking week. And I love Juan. He's good people, and he deserves all the good things. I appreciate his efforts before my time, during my time, and now after my time.
Hmm.
I'm honored to be his friend, and just know him as a person. He's good folks.
Yeah. Now, let's see. You know what? And then I apologize because I haven't got. I only wrote down three of your phones, and I should have wrote down more. But I think oh my God, that Vader one that you did, right?
Mhm.
Now, Vader one was that kind of like a continuation of Daddy Issues, or was it?
So that was the classic villain,
Mm-hmm.
and the classic villain at its inception was supposed to be a culmination of everything we knew Vader at that point in time. This was before what we have now. Like, we have the Vader in the Obi-Wan show, or you had the Vader VR game, or you had the Vader in Jedi Fallen Order. You know what I mean? Like, I
Mm-hmm.
made that font before then. And it was just kind of a it was my homage to him.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want a Rogue One Vader. I didn't want a
Mm-hmm.
Empire Vader. I wanted all of it to be in one font, and it
Mm-hmm.
and it was, and it did great. And I was extremely pleased with it, because it
Oh,
was
I
it was
mean,
I mean, it was just there's some swings in there that are just, that's just not the same stuff you hear from Empire. I mean, these are like hardcore like
mm-hmm.
hear in some of the other stuff that he's in. So
Mm-hmm.
I was very pleased with how it turned out. Still happy with it today.
Yeah, it sounded great when I previewed it, and I was like, oh man, it sounds good, and it sounds pretty crisp, and I was like, oh, now that's a good Vader font right there, you know? And and I was thinking to myself, like, how many Vaders are actually and I'm sure there's quite a few out there, right? And like you were saying, one Sith has got some great Vader stuff, and I was like, oh, man. Now, like I said, I'm working on a Vader, which is a Master Replicas Vader, right? And that one's gonna take me a good while to work out on. And I was like, what in doing some of this stuff, and now with all of the Vader stuff coming out, as far as like you said, Vader Kenobi and everything like that, it is going to be an interesting ride to see how things are going to progress after James Earl Jones passes, right? And we all know already that his voice is gonna be AI after he's gone. I mean, it's gonna be his voice. I mean, he's already told Disney like, you got my voice, and that's all you need. You don't need me, you know. But give me the money for my voice, and we're done. So, so when he's gone, I mean, how much are they gonna be able to do with Vader, right? That's gonna be the interesting story there. How much are they going? And as far as body wise stuff, I mean, the actors like David Prowse, who played Vader, and then was not really even suggested at the time. I mean, they had to do a voiceover because Prowse's voice wasn't really where it should be as deep and menacing. He actually had a really light voice compared to you look at him in the shows and in everything that Disney showed, him doing, and then they hear his voice and it's like, oh my God, it's almost like a shock, right? How high pitched his voice was compared to his height and his build. You would think that it would be a lot deeper, like James Earl Jones's voice, but no. And it stands to it stands to reason when somebody says, don't judge a book by its cover. Like, oh my God. Like, really, dude? You got this high voice. Like, oh. Yeah. And then you got this shorter guy that's, shorter, bigger guy that's not just, plain Jane stocky, and he's got that deep voice in it, right? They used AI for Kenobi, I think. Yeah, they did, Rich. Disney now, that because James Earl Jones, his his voice, I mean, he didn't want to be sitting in a booth, for hours and hours and hours, because he'd rather be getting paid for doing movie scenes and so forth. So he told Disney, yeah, man, go for it. Just give me my check and I'm done, done for the day. And Disney went with that, and now AI is kind of taking over his voice as well. And there's a lot of AI these days, with everybody and everything. And it's kind of disheartening though, because then you see all like, man, I go on Instagram and I hear all of these commercials with AI celebrity faces that, it's not even that person. It's not even that real celebrity. You can tell the face is pasted on, and
The deep
it's
fake.
their, yeah. I mean, it's their voice, but you could tell the face is pasted onto whoever's body it is, and it's like, nah, and and I'm pretty sure that Ewan McGregor is, well, I don't think his voice got added to the AI just yet. I think he's one of the ones that said, no, not yet. I'm still gonna do my stuff my way, and maybe later on when I'm gone or something, you use AI for me, and that's it. It was really interesting to see that he had a lot of family in in the Star Wars universe with him. His uncle, his two daughters. That
Yeah.
was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And then his oldest daughter. His oldest daughter was what he gave her like a lightsaber toothbrush, and she sold the shit out of that. Like, man, I was looking at it like, damn, I want one now. Yeah, a Kenobi toothbrush, man. Yeah, you hear vroom, vroom, vroom while you're brushing your teeth. That damn.
Talk about your gimmicks, man.
Yeah, really. But it's great though, right?
I mean,
And I'm so. Go ahead.
if you're still the sold out Star Wars fan, yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah.
I mean, it's great. I mean, it would be a conversation piece too, man, right? Well, not necessarily, but you know, it'd be funny. It'd be funny. I think. I mean, and there's so many great things out there that can be gimmicky, right? They got so many gimmicky things out there now that can make it fun, but at the same time, like, I don't know. Like one of the things I have not acquired, and I do want to acquire, is the Vader's and Luke's salt and pepper shaker. Or, I have not gotten those, but I do. I do want them, man. I
That's
think
funny.
they'd be great. I think they'd be great conversation pieces when I have guests over, and especially if they're, Star Wars fans, and they're actually battery operated. So now I don't know if you can put sound fonts on them, but that would be interesting.
It
You
would be
know,
interesting.
you could just, you're pouring your salt, and you pour Luke's, and you have a quote from Luke while you're doing the salt. Then
BK
you
has
got, oh, BK has them. Do we? Oh, see, do they work good, BK? Are they great? Do they work really good? They haven't gotten any. I know that some of those salt pepper shakers like that, they get kind of stuck. When you use the larger grain salts. So it's like, oh, but I need to get those. I can get them maybe for Christmas or something. Oh, they work great. There you go. They actually crush up the peppercorns. Oh, see, there you go. And that's why I said, man, we could talk about anything up on here. It's funny. Oh, you had the lightsaber chopsticks too? Ah, you need to send me a link on those, dude.
Amazon, bro. They're all over. You can get them on
Amazon.
Wish.
I've seen some cheap ones, like cheap ones that don't look like that kind of barely look like them, but it's kind of like a bait and switch thing, right? I had tried to get some at one time, and I had clicked on the thing, and when I saw what I was gonna order, it didn't even look like them at all. They were just glow sticks. I mean, that was like they weren't even real chopsticks. Like, no. So I canceled the order. But man, yeah, there's so many gimmicky things out there. But fonts, oh man, I tell you. Now, do you have you heard of have you seen do you know who Lux Sabers is?
No.
No, okay. I don't either. And I looked up on saberfonts.com, and actually one of the ones that I just was curious about Lux Sabers, and one of their fonts was the Hunter, which is um predator, a predator font.
Okay.
And it was pretty decent. I was not terribly disappointed in it. I thought it would have been a little bit, you know, funny, but at the same time, it really wasn't. It wasn't bad. I thought it was going to be a bad font. It turned out to be pretty decent. It's called Hunter from Lux Sabers,
Cool.
and then Mongo Sabers. I actually found it pretty hilarious because Mongo Sabers has the Walking Dead font.
Ooh.
Are you a Walking Dead fan?
I was once upon a time.
Once upon a time, I was cutting up when I listened to it, because when you're hearing the swings, you're hearing the moans from the walkers. Rah, rah, rah. I mean, and I just started cracking up. Like, man, that's great. And then you hear some of these quotes, a couple of the quotes that I was hearing, but overall, um, and then you hear the moans when I guess when he was doing the lockup or something. Rah! Like, oh man, that's kind of cool. I was just cracking up with it though, and I think that would be actually. would be a pretty cool um themed saber, right? Which would be the Walking Dead saber. If you want to go that route. I think it'd be pretty hilarious though. Pretty hilarious. Man. Oh wow. Man, time flies, dude. Jeez. My goodness.
So chat, y'all got anything for me since I pretty
Yeah,
much
guys, BK, all of you guys, you have any questions for Forrest, man? I mean, I know you guys are listening on here, but come on, let's have some conversation, guys. Man, I want to hear from you guys, man, the audience. Nothing yet? TK, how about you, man? You always got questions. Come on, TK. We got TK BK. TK BK. Which says the classic villain is my favorite Vader to go to. Oh yeah.
appreciate it, Rich. Thanks. No, you
Yeah, that's
don't,
awesome.
BK. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't want this. You don't want, bro. You don't want this. You don't. I swear to God, you don't, bro. No, the flip, you don't. This is the part where people are starting to hit record because it's like, wait a
Right.
minute, is Forrest mad about something? They're gonna like hit record so they can go back and like show other people like, what is this?
Yeah, I can just see like BK's like he's gonna pull the Max Headroom, right? Cut, come back. Oh no, that's too funny.
Dude, you don't you don't want me back in the community. You straight up don't. You
Hey, but
straight
you're doing voice acting though, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's I mean it's voiceover has been my lifelong dream. I mean, I have been dreaming of this since I was 7 years old. I'm going to be 44 this year. I've been wanting to get into voice acting since I was 7. I've never lived in the right area for it. I've never had the right connections for it. I've and it was such an obscure thing as a kid. You never really knew how to get into it. It's just like, do you live in LA? Do you live in New York City? No. Well, sucks to be you. You know, there were you know, there were agencies you had to get involved with. You had to be part of the right families. You had to know the right people. Nowadays, um, take this space here. Like I'm really surprised nobody's asked, Forrest, why you sitting in a closet? Well, because I have converted said closet into a complete voiceover booth, top to bottom. And the reason why they're still closing here is because I learned from a very, very popular actress who goes by the name of Brizzy Voices that these alone won't do it. The more the more material you have and the blankets that are beneath those to suck up that internal resonance, the crisper, the cleaner you're going to sound in your booth. And this is a flip ton cheaper than this. Um,
Wow.
so I'm not even joking. That's why I call it the Brizzy Voices Mark III, because she's already made like 3 closets into perfectly working booths. And I was just astounded at how inexpensive it was. The most expensive thing, were these and what you see
Hmm.
here, the camera and the setup here. So yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
I should be coming through loud and clear.
Yeah, you are. It's crispy, dude. It's crispy, man.
So
No doubt. No
T
doubt.
TK says, "Do any of the sounds have a rotation for a stone when it's spinning?"
Hmm. Okay, TK. You
I don't
smoking that
understand.
wacky tobacco? Are you smoking the wacky tobacco right now, bro? He makes some outrageous shit sometimes, man. I love him
Sin
though. I love him.
Sinzi wants to know what have I voice acted in so far. So actually, I've just sold my first commercial spot for a roofing company. Um, and it was crazy. I took a chance on 'em. They were local because I found them and they were referred by somebody I know. And I went on their website, I checked them out, I looked at the reviews. They're a really great company. So on a hunch, I just made a commercial. Like I just did it on my own and
Hmm.
um put the background music to it. Thank God I was a freaking you know, font maker because all the editing stuff, I mean, I turns out I know how to mix music and sound and do all that stuff so I can blend voice, and I made a really great web ad for them, and I took it to them, and they bought it. They literally bought it from me. I made $800 for an hour and 25 minutes of my time.
Damn.
Yeah,
What?
there's money in th
That's
there's money in this, dude, and I'm just gonna keep
wow.
going.
I would
Right
do shit.
There's an audio drama that's gonna be coming out within the next couple of months. The casting is still happening for that, but I am in the finals to be the main character.
Well,
Um,
cool.
I
Congrats.
have oh goodness. I was doing my Instagram lives because I'm currently so I have a ton of samples, but I'm making a brand new demo reel. So it's going to be fresh commercial spots, 60 seconds, commercials, e-learning, video games, character acting, that sort of thing. So, I mean, and there's so much that goes into this, but bro, this is what makes it the dream. It's the freaking
Yeah.
dream. Like you want to do the work for the things you want in this life. And this is what I've
Hmm.
wanted since I was a child. And now, thanks to so many different things that have happened, coronavirus, people working out of home, people not showing up for studios, people, dropping the whole we need an agent to be discovered. You got Fiverr, you've got Voquint, you've got Voices, you got Voice 123. Like you've got all these avenues where literally anybody with a decent voice can set up, make sure they've got good sound absorption, and just
Hmm.
take a shot. And it's awesome because you never know who you're going to find. You never know. You don't have to rely on celebrities. You've got people out there who just they just make the part work.
Yeah.
And that's incredible. Like what a time to be part of something as amazing as that. And to know that AI has not caught up with actual human emotion,
Hmm.
there's bro, there's plenty of time and plenty of work. So that's really, really cool. Oh, a spinning crystal rotator is what TK was talking about.
Oh, okay. Nice. You finally put it where we can understand it, TK. Yeah.
You don't even and honestly, you don't
Awesome.
even need a sound for that. It makes its own little gear sound, a little it does it on its own.
Yeah.
It's actually kinda cool. Um,
And Anthony Daniels, the one that plays C3PO,
mhm.
he had to show emotion through words behind, the costume. So even though you saw his face, C3PO's face the same way, body language and his sounds portrayed the emotion, right?
Yes.
And so essentially what you're doing now is almost basically the same thing. You're using sound and emotion within the sound to get where you need to be in the voiceovers.
Mhm.
And man, that is so awesome. Do you know who DDP the wrestler is?
Ah, Diamond Dallas Page.
Oh yeah. If you go on Instagram or his Instagram and Facebook, man, he's always doing these inspirational quotes of, how you can change your whole attitude, you can change your mindset, you think about it and own it is his catchphrase, right?
Hmm.
So, I've been watching that a lot lately, and it's like, man, he's very inspirational on getting, that whoever needs a little bit of uplift, if they need some inspiration to change their life. And he talks about, you can do it. You just have to change your mindset to do it. I mean, there's only one person in this world that keep you from doing what you want to do, and that's yourself. That's yourself, you know.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I find that fascinating just the same, man. Just the same. Yeah, Cincy, I think he is, man. I mean, it's working out for him, and and that's all you can ask for. I mean, he's got to do what's best for his family, what's best for him, and that's all we can all do is do what's best for us, right? And do what we can do through this world, and you got to do what makes you. What's up, buddy? What's up, Jeremy? How you doing, man? Glad to see you, dude. And so you gotta keep up and do what makes you happy in this world, because it's such a short life that anything that you do, whether it be sabers, whether it be fonts, whether it be any other kind of work in this world, you know you got to do what's best for not only yourself but for your family as well, right? I mean, they're the most important people in your life. You want to make sure um that you do what's best for you and your family. And if it has to entail in moving on, then you move on. If you're happy with what you're doing, and they say that when you're happy doing what you love to do, it's never work, right? It's another day, and it's never work. Um,
I can
so
I can put
so
a different spin on that. You
oh,
can you
cool.
can work, but you can be happy in your work.
Mm-hmm.
You can be happy to serve others. You can be happy in what you're doing. If your joy in life is to chop firewood because you know you're that good with an axe and it is your pleasure and
Mm-hmm.
it brings you satisfaction knowing that you can just put that brawn to a log and you make firewood and you're selling that firewood and you're freaking jacked and tan and chiseled because you're taking an axe to firewood every day and that's your passion and you love, then it's still work, but you're happy in your work. You
Mm-hmm.
you can be happy in your work. Work will always be work.
Right.
Always. Always, always, always. A lot of people tend to get this misunderstanding that, don't don't make a chore out of this. Bro, a chore is a chore. A job is a job. Work is work. That that is literal work.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's like that's what it is. You have the choice. You have the choice
Jeremy.
to uh make of it what you will.
That's funny, Jeremy. Oh, it's too funny. Yeah, and choice is very good though. Choice is pretty awesome. Um, like you said, make it what you will. And dude, I am so happy that you are chasing your dream, because you only get one shot at life. And if you don't take, you remember that movie Starfighter,
Mhm,
80s movie?
mhm,
Okay. And they're in the trailer park, right? Alex is working on the game, and the owner of the trailer park is telling him, when life comes at you and you get that chance, you got to take life by the reins and hold on tight and go with it, and you're doing it, man. I'm super proud that that you're taking that chance because a lot of people these days, and I've seen a lot of people, you know, go, um, wish I could, you know,
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
they wonder, yeah, I mean, shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? And they stay there because I think it's the fear factor that gets to get them going where they want to go, but they just can't take that step for fear of falling off the edge. You know?
I think having been breaking into this for a number of months, there are layers and levels of fear you have to discover
Mm-hmm.
because you're not just facing down judgment of everybody who hears you. You're facing yourself. There are
Mm-hmm.
exercises you got to go through vocally that in the back of your mind are just going to make people cringe. Like there are things that you got to exercise and practice that if anybody heard you, it's your hair is going to stand on end in embarrassment. But
Mm-hmm.
that's how you get the range, dude.
Yeah.
That's how you know,
Mm-hmm.
stretch the proper muscles to be able
That's
to do all the different voices.
yeah. I still love that Toyota one that you did.
Toyota,
It's
now we're going places.
see that is so freaking catchy, dude.
It
That is
wasn't
so freaking catchy.
Dude, it wasn't until a year ago, or not a year, I'm not gonna say a year, it wasn't until a few months ago that I was able to get way down here and be as deep as this, because that's not how I speak. But now in a lot of narrative commercials, it requires me to give you a much more sensual sound. And you just and again, you have to go through the things that you gotta do to get
Mm-hmm.
there, you exercise the different vocal muscles, just like you're actually, just like you're getting jacked and tan, you exercise
Right.
the right muscles, you can do all kinds of different things. And and here's another one that I'll tell you. Voice acting is not impersonating people. If you can impersonate people, yeah, that's awesome. You're doing great. But that's not all it is because they're not looking for that. They're not looking
Right.
for Homer Simpson because Homer Simpson already exists. Wait a minute, he does? Ooh, that's pretty damn cool. So, but there's already an actor who plays him. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just like there's already
Yeah.
a Peter Griffin. Just like there's already a Stewie Griffin. Oh my.
See, oh my gosh, man, you're doing great, dude. I mean, see, you were born for this, dude. But you had done some amazing fonts for, the font world. And I mean, I thank you so much for your hard work and the contributions that you've done over the years for our enjoyment, right? And I certainly hope that you had enjoyed yourself working on these fonts. And years down the road, when newbies come into these fonts and they hear, I mean, you know, they're gonna hear over the helmet, for the first time, and they're gonna be cutting up, and they're like, "Where's this dude at, man?" Uh, and I tell you, it's just it's such a pleasure to find great fonts, great, you know, people in the community. Yeah, BK, BK says, "Wait, y'all got deep. Drink what you're having." Oh man, I tell you, BK, I've got some honey whiskey, man. Honey liqueur. That's what I'm drinking. But anyway, and you know, when you have such great fonts that come out and people enjoy them as well, and and I'm not sure how many font makers actually enjoy making some of their fonts and stuff like that. Like some may say, okay, you know what, I'm gonna make a font, but it's like I'm not really into this font, but I'm gonna bust it out. And then there'll be days where they're like, okay, man, I'm gonna get this, I'm gonna kick it, I'm gonna print it, I'm gonna just knock it out of the ballpark, and it's gonna be out there, but I'm gonna have a blast doing it, right? And
Maybe.
and then I'm not sure. Maybe there were some days where like, it is what it is. I'll throw it out there. I might not throw it out there. Who knows, right? Um, but I certainly I think that most of the time, font makers enjoyed their work, enjoyed doing what they're the research of what they're putting into it, the love that they're putting into it, the emotion that they put into it, the time that they take, and everything else that comes along with it, right? And did you have a certain amount of pride when you finished a font? Like, hey, yeah, I know this is gonna be good. Or were you kind of like, man, I hope it does well on some of these fonts? Or was it just like, I know I got this?
Only 4 words ever matter. Only 4 words ever mattered to me.
Hmm.
It's good to me.
And that's the way it should be.
That's all that ever mattered. I don't care who the flip tells you differently. I don't
Hmm.
care whether you know them from somewhere else or be them in the chat right now. It's good to me is all that ever made a font good.
Hmm.
It should never be about anything else. That's my
I
opinion, but it should
I
never
agree
be
with it.
about anything else because that's how it was from the start. I
Hmm.
changed those fonts on those Ultra Sabers because those fonts were not good enough for me. So
Hmm.
I took matters into my own hands and I made them good enough for me and my buddy Matt, and they were good enough. And then we
Hmm.
discovered other things like Saber font. We discovered the lightsaber community, and there were things that different retailers had coming out, and there were again we're talking what 8 9 years ago now. Didn't have
Hmm.
as many font makers, and there were some seriously banging bangers, and there was some stuff that you can tell was just copy paste, and a lot of Tetris was happening. You people would take certain elements of one person's font and another person's font, and they would just like play this big game of font Jenga in reverse, right? And then they'd build their own font, and then some of us were like, you know what? I'd rather just do it myself and get it as best I could, and that's how a lot of these fonts were born.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like I said,
absolutely.
like I said, dude, like I said, chat, my time here is done. I can go ahead and tell you how it is because I have nothing to lose. I can tell you how I feel. I could tell you what's up and I could tell you what's going on. That's how it was. That's how it was.
Hmm.
Some people, yeah, they're in it for the money. Some people, they're in it for the clicks, the likes, the follows. They got to do it to be cool with their certain little clique because they have to be popular. Some people are gonna run around saying, "Oh, well, this person's jealous of this person, or this person's trying to be like that person," or you know. And you got to remember, dude. And I'm gonna say this, and if it pisses you off, not you, Mondo, I'm talking about
Hmm.
anybody. If it pisses you off, tough shit. They're just effing sounds from an archive that doesn't belong to you, and it never did. How about that?
Wow.
That shit was never yours. And I'm preaching now.
Okay.
You all want to know why I left? I'll be more than happy to tell you. I'll tell you. Like I said, what's anybody going to do? They're going to get in their car and drive up here and beat my ass? Come on with it. I'll tell you why I left. I left because I was done. I was done. The number one reason, if you had to make a little pie graph and put percentages in there, the number one reason why I was done was because it got stale. It got stale, number one, and you could agree with me or not, but Star Wars got stale.
Mm-hmm.
We had, after the sequel trilogy, and this is not my pointing fingers at the sequel trilogy, there was a staleness. There was an unappreciation. There were elements about the sequel trilogy that were cool, that we enjoyed. A lot of really cool fonts came out of the sequel trilogy. A lot of really cool sabers came out of the sequel trilogy. A lot of really cool ideas and concepts came out of the sequel trilogy, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And
Mm-hmm.
and if you go back and you look at the history, you had companies that were selling blasters like the Ray blaster that Han gave her. A lot of that was going on. You had a lot of gosh, bro, how many different Graflexes did we get? Tell me that didn't get stale. And everybody had to be right. Oh, well,
Mm-hmm.
there was a screw right here, or there was a, your weathering isn't right by the lever here, or, oh, the Graflex, you couldn't see the Graflex chiseling of the letters. Like, who effing cares, bro? Are you trying to sell a Graflex because you want it to be cool? Or are you trying to sell a Graflex because you're just trying to one-up somebody else? It's not effing yours. It didn't belong to you. There is the only acceptable reason in the world I will take for there being 900 sequel trilogy Graflex fonts is because somebody wanted to do it. Because it
Mm-hmm.
was a fresh sound. It didn't say made in Rochester, New York on the pommel. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, PK,
No,
love you, dude.
it got the feeling got stale because what did we get from it? A
Yeah.
whole lot of nothing. But hey, we got merchandise to sell, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it just went downhill from there. And cliques were formed. And people's names and faces were dragged through the mud. And ideas weren't fresh anymore. And a whole lot of lather, rinse, repeat. Some
What up,
people,
Bree?
some
Yeah.
some people, and even to this day, Fours, you were here for like 10 years and you made 27 fonts. Meanwhile, other people are up in the hundreds. Where was your game? I'm gonna tell you where my game was. Making what the F I wanted. Because it did not interest me to make 18 Dooku fonts. Because it's not relevant to have 18 Dooku fonts. You don't need 18 Dooku fonts. You don't need 27 Graflex fonts. You don't know, bro. While people were making 27 Graflex fonts, you know what I was doing? I was making a Cyclops X-Men font, Leader X, in honor of Norm Spencer, in honor of the 90s X-Men, which, by the way, we got X-Men 97 now, which goes to show
Yeah,
you
that's a
just
pretty.
how much people love that content. I made
Oh,
that
it's good.
content because my heart was there. My heart was in that show. That was part of my childhood. I chased it. And that was a damn good font because I put
Mm-hmm.
my heart into it. Every
Mm-hmm.
font I ever made was never about accuracy. It was never about accuracy. I don't need it to
Mm-hmm.
be because somebody else is going to make it about accuracy. Do you know who loves accuracy? Wanseth. And he's damn good
Mm-hmm.
at it. And you know what? It's his passion. It's his pleasure. And he likes
Mm-hmm.
bringing that stuff accurately to you. I can tell you, bro, I can tell you when when I got into the community and I was on Saberfont for the first time and I was making a few fonts and I was learning who Wanseth was. You know what Juan's claim to fame was? most accurate font. And you know what's crazy about that? It was true. It
Mhm.
was true. There was no tooting of the horn. This dude did his homework. He studied. He worked hard. He put out a font that he wanted to be damn accurate, and he did it. And many people appreciated him for it, and others kicked dirt at him.
Mhm.
And you got to ask yourself why. At the end of the day, though, at the end of the day, they're just sounds. You got to wonder why. And I'm not even going to stop there with just sounds. You got to look at this community in a whole. You got to wonder why. Why are things the way they are? Why were things the way they were 2-3 years ago? Why were they the way they were 8 years ago when you had literally had, bro, it blows my mind, factions. You had factions. Like literal factions. It was almost political. It
Yeah,
was like
I've
it was
heard.
like it was like Crystal Focus versus Nigon.
Yeah,
But they
I've
did
heard all of that
they
stuff,
did the
and I
same
can't.
thing.
I mean, we should be. There's, and that brings up a good point, man. Because there's so much hate in this world that within this community, we should be coming together to help each other, to appreciate each other's, differences, right? Within what we do, we should be able to appreciate, come together. I mean, you got an opinion, okay, great. Respect the opinion, respect the person for what they believe in, but don't dog on them, don't dog on them that way. And within certain parameters of this community, we all have the love for sabers, we all have the love for fonts, we all have the love for everything that Star Wars, and we should be having fun talking about this stuff and not going at each other's throats like a pack of wolves.
I
you
have
know
I have p
you
I
know
have friends. I have friends I still talk to. I have friends I rarely talk to that they burned out because if you look at the history, they were chased out. They were chased out.
hmm,
Even though they were doing really good, even though they had a lot of respect from a lot of different people, there's always those apples, boy, and they just don't let up. They just wouldn't let up.
hmm,
And I'm not gonna name names because let sleeping dogs lie,
hmm,
but there have been some injustices. I have fought against some of these injustices as kindly and with as much civility as I knew how. I stuck up
hmm,
for a gentleman who was terribly, terribly treated. And what did I get? I got railroaded for defending a friend for something that never should have happened. But people and their cliques and their foolishness and their nonsense and their self-righteous thought that they believe everybody in the world is jealous of them want to just drag this dude through the dirt. And they think it's funny. And certain individuals creating memes about them to compound the problem, creating false email accounts to go on their website and trash their website. You don't think that's problematic? You don't think that does things to a person? You don't think that that paints, and I'm not going to say our community, I'm going to say the community. It's not my community anymore. I'm gone. I'm out. I'm Cat Williams right now. I'm telling you like it is. And here's how it is. This nonsense has always been. It was. It is. And it continues. And it's going to keep going. And I can tell you this because I have nothing to lose. Because what
hmm.
are they going to do? They're going to come on your show next week and tell you how big of a liar I am and put up a bunch of Photoshop DMs of me saying shit? Okay. Do what you need to do. But here's how it is, Mondo. I'm gone because I got tired of the bullshit. I got tired of being nice fours. I had a reputation in this community as a nice person. I was a nice person. I had a very loyal customer fan base. I loved my customers. You wanna know
Mhm.
you wanna know what I loved about my customers, certain ones, especially when it came to private commissions? They challenged me. I loved it when they
Mhm.
challenged me. Some of the most fun fonts I ever made were people's fonts who challenged me because they would come to me after talking to 10 different people, telling them either the price was too high or they just didn't wanna take on the challenge. And that's okay.
Mhm.
It's okay for somebody to say no. A businessman always has the right to say no if they don't feel that they can do it or they don't feel that it's worth their time. But you know what's really great about that? I was able to challenge myself to learn some of the hardest part of my editing software, parts that I never explored before. I learned a
Mhm.
lot of things. I learned things that I use in my voice acting now that make me a better artist, and I'm grateful for that. Were the fonts great? They were great to my customer. They were great, and my customer didn't care what anybody else thought about their commission because it was theirs.
Mhm.
Brother, when I tell you I've made some commissions, I made a 1970s Wonder Woman font for a young lady who I admire very much, and I miss her a lot. She was so sweet, and from time to time, she'll hit me up, and
That's cool.
I still have her video that I made for her set to private on my channel that I go back and watch sometimes because it was a lot of fun. It was fun for me, and her reaction
Yeah.
video makes me smile. I made a
I feel
Transformers
you.
font that I never released because I wasn't allowed, because a gentleman who wanted Transformers, Optimus Prime movie version, wanted
Mhm.
exclusive rights to it, and he paid me for them handsomely, and he still has them,
Mhm.
and I still have it, and I will never release it to anybody without anybody's permission. But my god, dude, the work I put in on that font, it was it had to be more than just good for me, it had to be good for him, and when he got it,
Mhm.
he loved it. It was and when people tell me that they really like my work, that's all that matters to me. That's it. My customers to me were like a casting director. When you give them what they ask for, they
Mhm.
really appreciate you. But you know what they appreciate more? They appreciate your patience and willing to communicate. There is no better experience than when you are speaking with your customer and you're going file by file and you're saying to them, "Does this work? Does this sound good? Does this work for you? No, let's take it higher. No, let's take this a little lower. I don't like the pitch of this. No problem. Why don't I just change this and then let me get back to you in a couple hours?" I had a customer, he came back to me because he wanted a font for Darksiders. You remember the game Darksiders?
Yeah.
He wanted Darksiders 1 and 2, and I made them, and it was hard. It was difficult. It was challenging. That font, before Smooth Swing, was 30 man hours of work, most of it going back and editing, and I didn't charge him for it.
Wow.
I had a clause at the time that says if you want fixes, it's gonna be X amount. I never charged him a dime. You wanna know why I never charged him? Because he made the working experience a pleasurable experience for me. Working with him
Mhm.
was fun, enjoyable, and he became a friend, and that was a really cool font. Was it groundbreaking? Nah. Was it something that did well on Sabrefont? And he was nice enough to let me sell it on Sabrefont too. No, it didn't do that well. I have one person, my boy Johnny over at Dark Wolf. He loves those fonts. He never
Mhm.
played the game and he loves those fonts. It makes me feel good. It means I did good. I can
Mhm.
appreciate that. Don't ever get it twisted. And I apologize if I'm stealing your show and sounding preachy.
No, 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 no.
I've been meaning to say these things for a very long time so that it
Yeah, no,
doesn't get
no, it's
twisted.
all good.
There are
It's all good,
DMs
man.
and there are people who just believe I'm the scum of the earth and that I'm jealous and that I'm this and that I'm that. And you know what? You can piss off because I don't have to listen to it anymore because screw you. How about that?
Yeah.
So
I think that you know, it's these fonts, I believe, not only is the board itself, but I think the fonts really bring the soul out of a hilt, right? Given certain fonts, if you have a well-made font and a well thought out font and a fun font, whatever have you will, okay? I believe the fonts really bring the soul out of the saber itself. So if you have two or three excellent fonts, that saber can become, almost godlike in your hands because it it emulates the emotion of the font, right?
Can.
And so it becomes
Can.
something special, right? That saber becomes something special because of the type it font, of the font that you have in there, or fonts, multiple fonts, right? So again, like I said, I think certain hilts should have maybe 3 to 7 fonts at most. Others, I think if you want to put 20, 30 fonts on there, yeah, right. Um, cool. Are we hosting a garage sale? um, and I'm thinking to myself, like, the thing is that, uh, if you have 30 or 40 fonts, and you have to go through all of these fonts, it kind of negates some of the fun out of it. Because then you go here and you go there, and you keep going with the fonts, you keep going with the fonts, right? Whereas you have maybe a little less than that. You have 10 to 15 fonts on there, but every single one of them, every single one of those fonts that have meaning and meaning for that saber becomes something special to that person, right?
mhm.
And I'm thinking to myself, that you know on in every sound font that comes through these, every single one of these hilts, and no matter what hilt it is, um if it's great for that person, right? And God bless every single one of them, because like I said, without the sound fonts that we get from every single one of the sound font makers, every single person who's made the soundboards, every single person that has come and made a contribution to Sabers, no matter uh, what has happened, right? Um, and it becomes like they say, art that you can play with, or art that you can do with. But there's a lot of that. Yeah, Cole, the etching has gone pretty good, man. I enjoy seeing the etching. Um, everything that comes together is just fantastic. And not one single person, okay? Not one single person can take any one credit for the whole synergistic and simplicity that goes in everything to make the props, right? And, you know, because Disney, does have all the rights to everything in all of this stuff, but with, you know, there's little tweaks, little things here and there that have people making what we love and what we entertain ourselves with in terms of these sabers. And kudos to everybody who's made the contribution. Uh, but in all, without saber fonts, we would have sticks, glow sticks with no sound, right? We wouldn't, without Neopix, and Neopix quoted by Adafruit, right? Neopixels came from Adafruit, no one else. They hold the exclusive rights to those. And without the Neopixels, We wouldn't have the blades that would scroll up and down. Without people who like Darth Alice as well, innovators and stuff like that. Um, and Jeremy now, because Jeremy's making some pretty nice sabers on a lathe. So all the people that utilize a lathe to make sabers from scratch, it, we wouldn't have any of this stuff. We would still be watching Star Wars with plastic light up tubes, right? I mean, so that's the thing is, uh, not like I said, not one person can say that, all of this came from them. Disney can say, no, lightsabers, that's our thing, right? Because they own the exclusive rights to it. But I mean, so much imagination and so much characteristics go to everything, no matter whether it be font, whether it be the saber itself, whether it be, every aspect of the saber itself is really, um how do I put it, man? Um for entertainment purposes, right? Uh for entertainment purposes, we have not been able to get where we are without certain people. Um and I tell you, uh I think without all of these people that we're not where we should be, right? And I think we're gonna go and leave it at that. That without uh, all of these people that contributed to it, this is where we are at now. This is where we're gonna stay, and everybody has their contributions, whether they're good, bad, it doesn't matter. But I mean, everything is fun and where it should be. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna leave it at that. Much love for everybody because everybody does an awesome job and fonts and everything like that, man. So yeah, guys. So I'm gonna call it a night. I'm gonna go see my daughter and everything. And Forrest, thank you for coming on, man. I so much appreciate it. I hope you've had a little bit of fun, and I wanted to make sure that we had some fun on here. I did, I hope you had a good time getting a few things out, and I hope you do really well with your voiceover and everything.
I appreciate it, dude.
You know, and so that's the thing, man. Just I am glad you're doing what your dream is. I hope you get successful in what you're doing and many
Already on
prayers
my
to you,
way.
man. All right. So with that, guys, I'm gonna go ahead, brand out. I love you guys. Thank you all for coming and catching the show, guys. Oops. And may everybody have a good week. Be kind, nice out there, and I love you guys. Thank you, everybody who came to the show. Much appreciate. I love you guys. And next Monday I will not be on. My daughter's got a kickball game, so I'm gonna be watching that. But the following Monday, hopefully I should be back on normal time. And I love you guys. And Mondo's gonna branch out. Peace.
In here, we pour whiskey.